what is your advice for sponsored display ads? Price is so high for low results, especially for display with video. I have a feeling our thoughts are aligned here, but I'd love to get your take.
Okay, so sponsored display, I have only really used it for retargeting. That's it. I haven't seen good results with anything else, and I prefer to use Amazon DSP because of it's the same placements, way more targeted, way more data. We also, now that we have AMC as well, access to AMC. I don't know if you've started messing around with it, but analytics are way better, control is way better. So I personally like using DSP over sponsored display. If you're someone who is not in a position to do, DSP, and by the way, a lot of you guys are, you can, if you can't afford like an agency or something and just want to do it yourself, you can go through BidX or so, one of those softwares that are self-serve DSP. I think just retargeting is all I do.
Yeah, I mean, what I would say is we personally have found some benefits of doing like the product targeting there, but I would say it definitely does depend on the results. And I know the content you put out, and we're kind of aligned on this. Like, I'm not saying like don't run sponsor brands, and I'm not saying don't run sponsor display. I'm always like asterisks. I'm not saying that these ad types are like terrible, never run them, they're not worth it. But what we have observed is that they have lower impact on ranking. And so to your point of when you're talking about like increasing sales velocity and maybe running at a loss because you're looking to like push up that organic placement, you want to get better search placements, it makes sense to invest in ads at a loss if you're going to see that, kind of like organic increase benefit, because we don't see as big of a lift or really any measurable lift when running the other ad types outside of sponsored product ads. I don't really like running these ad types at a loss. If we can get profitable traffic, if we can get profitable sales, heck yes. If you put in $1 to get $2, why would you not do that all day long? But if you're talking about running at a loss, I don't think I would try and force it. So again, if you don't have access to DSP, retargeting ads are a great way to leverage sponsored display in a way that you can't really with other ad types. And then if you can't get it to work, I would say either just push bids down so low and be okay with getting little to no impressions, or if you can't even make that work, maybe just go ahead and pause them and just know you're not really going to affect yourself too much, at least from what we've seen.
Yeah, and one thing to know, I'm glad that you mentioned this, is document your spend, your PPC spend. I think sponsor products is gonna generate 80 to 90% of your sales. So I think just put all your focus there. But if you're gonna run the sponsor display, document your ad spend before, and then document your ad spend of PPC plus the sponsor display, and look at your revenue before and your revenue plus after the sponsor display, and look at the delta. Because I've run sponsor brand video when it first came out, and clients were like raving, and they're like, we need video. And I'm like, okay, cool. And we'd spend like $300, $500 more a day. And then I'm like, all of a sudden, our sponsor products performance is terrible. And I'm like, guys, something is fishy. They're like, look at the sponsored brand performance. It's an 8x, it's a 10x. It's so good. And I'm like, this is fucking fishy. I'm like, I'm pausing it. Like, I know better than you. And I paused it. And literally sales were the same. We just cut down $300 in ad spend because they kept asking us to like optimize sponsor products. And I'm like, there's no way that sponsor products is just going to all of a sudden perform worse. And so with sponsor brand and sponsor display, there is a cannibalization effect of it's the same person, but sponsored display gets the credit because it just showed up on the page or something. And then all of a sudden you're paying more for the same person that was going to convert anyways. And then you don't get any incremental. So always track and say, okay, I was spending $100 before, now 150. I was making 500 before, now 600. So basically I spent 50 more, made 100 more. Is that worth it?
That's a great point.